There's a moment, silent, invisible, but razor-sharp, when someone tests you. It doesn't always come with raised voices or direct confrontation. Sometimes it's a smirk across the room, a whisper behind your back, a passive-aggressive comment disguised as concern. Are you sure you're the right person for this project? Or, you seem stressed lately. And in that moment, something inside you reacts. Not your mind, not your strategy, your fear. You feel it rise, tightness in the chest, heat in the face, the instinct to explain, to justify, to defend, to prove you're not what they say you are, to show them you're capable, you're calm, you're in control. But here's the brutal truth. The second you react from fear, you've already lost. Because your fear isn't just your weakness, it's their weapon. And the most dangerous part? You hand it to them willingly every time you scramble to respond, to clarify, to make them see you differently. You don't realize it, but you're feeding their power. You're confirming their control. This isn't about drama. It's not about petty office politics or social slights. This is about power, and power doesn't care about truth. Power cares about perception, about leverage, about who holds the upper hand in the silent war of influence that plays out every single day, in boardrooms, in relationships, in friendships, in families. Now, most people think courage means facing fear, standing tall, speaking up, being honest. But Machiavelli knew better. He didn't write The Prince to teach men how to be good. He wrote it to teach them how to win. And in his world, a world of betrayal, shifting alliances, and constant threat, fear wasn't something to overcome. It was something to use. But here's the twist. Your fear is only dangerous when it controls you, when it's visible, when others can see it, smell it, exploit it. The average person believes that if they just explain themselves clearly enough, people will understand. That if they show their good intentions, the accusations will stop. That if they prove their competence, the doubts will fade. That's emotional thinking. That's weakness disguised as virtue. Because in the real world, the world of power, influence, and survival, clarity is not power. Control is power, and the moment you feel the urge to explain, to defend, to react, you are no longer in control. You are reacting, and reaction is surrender. Let me be brutally clear. Your fear is not the problem. Your response to it is. The Machiavellian truth, the one they don't teach in schools, in therapy, or in self-help books, is this. Fear is not your enemy. It is your signal. And when you learn to flip the script, it becomes your greatest strategic advantage. Most people run from fear. The wise study it. They don't suppress it. They don't deny it. They interrogate it. Why am I afraid right now? What am I trying to protect? Who benefits if I react? Because fear is never random. It's a message, a warning, a clue to the hidden power dynamics at play. And when someone provokes your fear, intentionally or not, they are testing your boundaries. They are probing for weakness. They are checking, can I push you? Can I move you? Can I make you dance? And if you react, especially if you react emotionally, you've just answered yes. So what's the alternative? It's not suppression. It's transformation. It's not stoicism. It's strategy. The first move, the foundational Machiavellian principle, is this. Do not react to fear. React to power. When someone triggers your fear, your instinct is to protect your image, your reputation, your sense of self. But the strategic mind doesn't care about that. It cares about position. So instead of asking, how do I prove I'm not what they say, you ask, how do I shift the power? And the answer is never death. It's reversal. You don't defend, you observe. You don't explain, you redirect. You don't justify, you invert. This is the flip. And it starts with one simple, devastating tactic. Silence. Not awkward silence, not nervous silence, not the silence of someone caught off guard. No, this is loaded silence, the kind that doesn't come from fear, but from choice. Imagine this. You're in a meeting. A colleague, under the guise of feedback, says, "I'm not sure you fully grasp the scope of this initiative." Most people feel the hit, the insult, the implication. You're out of your depth. And they respond immediately. "Actually, I've been working on this for months. I know the data better than anyone here." Now, what just happened? You defended, you explained, you engaged on their terms. And in doing so, you confirmed their frame, that your competence is up for debate, that their opinion matters, that you need their validation. But the Machiavellian operator, they don't flinch, they don't argue, they don't even respond. They just pause. A full 3 seconds of eye contact, calm, unmoved. Then a slight tilt of the head, like they're considering something far more important. And they say, "Interesting," or nothing at all, just a nod. And then they move on. Now, what just happened there? You didn't defend. You didn't deny. You didn't justify. You refused the script. And in that refusal, you did something far more powerful. You made them question themselves. Because silence, when wielded with intent, doesn't signal confusion. It signals superiority. It says, "I don't need to prove anything to you." It says, "Your opinion doesn't threaten me." It says, "I am not in your game. I am above it." And that, right there, is the first move in flipping the script. You stop seeing fear as a flaw. You start seeing it as intel. Because the moment someone makes you afraid, they've revealed their hand. They've shown you where the pressure points are. And now, you're the one with the advantage. But this isn't about ego. It's not about winning a petty argument. It's about long-term control. Because every time you react from fear, you train people how to manipulate you. Every time you explain, you invite more questions. Every time you defend, you open the door for more attacks. But when you master the art of the non-reaction, when you learn to let fear pass through you without dictating your behavior, you become untouchable. And that's when the real power begins. So why does this work? Why does silence, stillness, or a cold, detached response carry so much weight? Because human psychology is wired for reaction. We are social creatures. We crave feedback. We interpret silence as either threat or superiority, and we are deeply uncomfortable with ambiguity, especially when it comes to power. When someone attacks you, verbally, socially, emotionally, they're not just making a statement, they're testing. They want to see, will you flinch? Will you engage? Will you reveal your insecurity? Because if you do, they've gained leverage. They now know how to press your buttons. They know your fear is accessible, and that makes you predictable. And predictable people are controllable. But when you don't react, when you don't give them the feedback loop they expect, you break the script. And in that break, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. This is the core psychological principle. People don't fear strength. They fear unknowability. They can plan against anger. They can manipulate guilt. They can exploit pride. But they cannot strategize against stillness, against calm, against someone who doesn't need their approval, their judgment, their narrative. And that's why the non-reaction is so devastating. It doesn't just deny them control, it reverses it. Now they're the ones wondering, did I go too far? Did I miscalculate? Do they even care? And that doubt, that uncertainty, that's your leverage. Now let's apply this to real-world scenarios. Scenario 1. The social setting. You're at a party. An acquaintance, someone who's always subtly competitive, says, "Wow, you've been quiet tonight. Everything okay?" On the surface, it sounds concerned. But the tone, the timing, the smirk, it's a jab. It's implying you're irrelevant, out of place, emotionally compromised. Most people feel the sting. They rush to explain, "Oh, I'm just tired. Work's been crazy." Or worse, "No, I'm fine." Why? Do I seem off? Now you've confirmed their frame. You've made your state their business. You've invited scrutiny. The Machiavellian response. Look them in the eye, smile, just slightly, and say, "I've been thinking about how few people here actually say what they mean." Then turn and walk away. What just happened? You didn't defend. You didn't explain. You inverted the dynamic. Now they're the one being analyzed. They're the one who might not be authentic, and you've positioned yourself as someone who sees through games. Scenario 2. The workplace challenge. A manager says, "I noticed you missed the last 2 team check-ins. Is everything on track?" Again, sounds neutral, but the implication, you're slipping, you're unreliable. Most people panic. They over-explain. "I've been swamped with the client report and my kid was sick and I've been logging extra hours at night." Now you've justified. You've revealed your stress. You've made your performance their concern. The strategic move? Calmly. "I've been prioritizing deliverables. The client report is ahead of schedule. Should I send you the draft?" Notice, no apology, no justification, no emotional leakage. A pivot to results, and an offer that puts them in a position of needing to respond. You've reframed the conversation from your absence to your output. And you've subtly reminded them, "I'm not here to check in, I'm here to deliver." Scenario 3. The personal attack. A friend says, "You've been really self-centered lately, always talking about your problems." Classic guilt trip, designed to make you defensive, apologetic, smaller. Most people collapse. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I've just been going through a lot." Now you've admitted fault. You've minimized your experience. You've given them moral authority over you. The flip. Look them in the eye. Pause. Then, "I've been opening up more. I thought that's what friends do." Then change the subject. You've reframed their attack as a positive, your willingness to be vulnerable. And you've implied that they, by criticizing it, are the ones failing at friendship. No defense, no anger, just a quiet repositioning of the narrative. These are the foundational moves, simple, surgical, brutally effective. And they all stem from one principle. Your fear is not yours to hide. It's theirs to fear. Because the moment you stop reacting to it and start using it as a tool to manipulate their perception, you've flipped the script. You're no longer the target. You're the strategist. Now, let's go deeper. So far, we've focused on non-reaction and reframing, but the true Machiavellian operator doesn't just defend their position. They expand it. They don't just neutralize attacks. They weaponize them. Here are 3 advanced, high-leverage tactics that turn fear from a liability into a strategic engine. Tactic 1. The inversion. Thank you. The coldest move in the game? When someone attacks your competence, your character, your choices, thank them. Not sarcastically, not defensively, with genuine, unsettling calm. Example. You propose an idea in a meeting. A senior colleague says, "That's ambitious. Maybe too ambitious for someone with your experience." Most people freeze. They feel the shame. They retreat. The Machiavellian response? Smile, nod, and say, "Thank you. I appreciate you highlighting that. It reminds me how much room there is to grow. I'll make sure the next proposal exceeds expectations." Now, what just happened? You didn't fight. You accepted their frame, but only to transcend it. By thanking them, you remove their power to offend you. Position yourself as humble, ambitious, and unshaken. Imply that their criticism is irrelevant because you're already thinking beyond it. And by saying next proposal, you've already moved past the current moment. You're not stuck in their judgment. You're focused on the future. This is psychological judo. You use their energy to throw them off balance. They expected defensiveness. You gave them gratitude. They expected insecurity. You gave them ambition. They expected you to shrink. You grew. And now, they look petty. You look poised. Tactic 2. The mirror. Is that how you see it? Even colder. The mirror. When someone projects their fear, their insecurity, their agenda onto you, reflect it back. Not by accusing, not by arguing, by observing. Example, a partner says, "You never listen to me, you're always on your phone." Most people react, "That's not true, I was just checking work." Now you're in a debate about reality, and debates are exhausting. The flip? Calmly. Is that how you see it? Pause. Let it hang. Then change the subject, or say, "I've been trying to be more present. Maybe we can both reflect on how we show up." By saying, "Is that how you see it?" you acknowledge their perception without validating it. Imply that their view is theirs, not objective truth. Introduce doubt. Maybe I'm not the problem. Maybe their perception is. And by gently suggesting mutual reflection, you avoid blame while still shifting responsibility. This is narrative control. You don't deny their story. You expand it. And in doing so, you take power back. Tactic 3. The preemptive strike. I was just thinking the same thing. The most advanced move, anticipate the attack and agree with it first. Yes, you heard that right. If you know someone is going to criticize you for being cold, distant, aggressive, beat them to it. Say it first. Example, before a negotiation you say, "I know I come across as intense. Some people say I'm too direct. But I found that clarity saves time, and time is the one thing we can't get back." Now, when they later say, "You're being too aggressive," you can simply smile and say, "I appreciate you noticing. I'm balancing directness with respect. Is there a better way to collaborate here?" By naming your flaw first, you diffuse its power. Show self-awareness. Frame it as a strength in disguise. Make any future criticism seem redundant, even petty. This is strategic vulnerability. You reveal just enough to disarm attacks, but only on your terms. Application. High-stakes contexts. Let's apply these to complex real-world domains. Leadership power. A subordinate undermines you in front of the team. I'm not sure this direction aligns with company goals. Don't defend. Don't punish. Instead, "That's a fair point. Let's schedule a deeper review. I'd value your input, especially on how we can align this with your team's objectives." Now you've validated their concern, disarming hostility, forced them into collaboration, no more passive aggression. Positioned yourself as inclusive and strategic. Put the burden of solutions on them. Power isn't taken, it's orchestrated. Romantic relationships. A partner says, "You don't love me like you used to." Most people panic. They overpromise. They beg. They explain. The flip? Calmly. Love isn't a feeling. It's a choice. And every day I choose you. But I can't choose how you interpret my actions. Maybe we need to talk about what love looks like to you. You've shifted from defending your love to questioning their perception. You've framed love as action, not emotion, and you've invited dialogue on your terms. 3. Public perception. Social media. Someone attacks you online. How can you say that? You're out of touch. Don't block, don't argue, don't delete. Respond. Thanks for calling that out. I'm always learning. For those interested, here's the deeper context behind my thinking. Then link to a thoughtful post or video. You've appeared open-minded, turned critics into an audience, controlled the narrative, gained authority. Addressing objections. Pitfalls. Now you might be thinking, isn't this manipulative, cold, unethical? Let's be clear. This isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. The world is not kind to the emotionally reactive. It rewards those who control the frame. And yes, this approach is detached. It's strategic. It's uncomfortable. But so is being walked over, being doubted, being undermined. The alternative, constant explanation, emotional transparency, seeking validation, is exhausting. And it doesn't work. People don't respect those who beg to be understood. They respect those who don't need to be. Common mistakes. Overdoing it. Silence is power, but arrogance is weakness. Don't sneer. Don't smirk. Don't play games. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Misreading the context. Not every fear is a power play. Some people are genuinely concerned. Learn to distinguish malice from misunderstanding. Suppressing instead of mastering. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about channeling emotion into strategy. Feel the fear, then use it, expecting immediate results. Power is built over time. One non-reaction won't change everything, but a pattern of them will. Let's return to the core truth. Your fear is not your enemy. It is their weapon, only if you let it be. The average person spends their life running from fear, hiding it, denying it, letting it dictate their choices. The Machiavellian mind does the opposite. It welcomes fear. Because fear is data. It tells why. Where your values are threatened, where your boundaries are thin, where others are testing you. And when you stop seeing fear as a weakness to conceal and start seeing it as a signal to strategize, you enter a new level of power. This is the paradox. The more you try to prove you're not afraid, the more afraid you look. The more you accept fear as a tool, the more untouchable you become. Power isn't about never feeling fear. It's about never acting from it. It's about knowing that every jab, every doubt, every subtle attack is not a threat, but an opportunity. An opportunity to reframe the narrative, shift the power, expose their insecurity, strengthen your position. And over time, something profound happens. You stop reacting to fear. You start orchestrating around it. You learn to let accusations float in the air, untouched, unanswered, until they collapse under their own weight. You learn to respond to attacks with calm, with silence, with a single phrase that flips the entire dynamic. And slowly, you develop what can only be called an aura. Not arrogance, not coldness, but unshakability. The kind of presence that doesn't need to speak to be heard, that doesn't need to defend to be respected, that doesn't need to explain to be believed. This is not about becoming heartless, it's about becoming free. Free from the need for approval, free from the fear of judgment, free from the cycle of reaction and regret. Machiavelli didn't care about being liked. He cared about being effective. And the most effective people in history, the leaders, the strategists, the influencers, weren't the most emotional. They were the most controlled. They knew that power doesn't come from winning arguments. It comes from refusing to fight them. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to let silence speak for you. So, what's the final evolution? It's not just flipping the script. It's writing your own. It's no longer reacting to attacks. It's setting the terms of engagement. It's not just surviving fear. It's using it to shape perception, to build influence, to command respect. And when you reach that level, you don't just win power, you become it. Final thought. The world will always try to make you afraid. It will question your worth. It will doubt your choices. It will test your limits. That's not a flaw in you. That's a feature of power. And every time you feel that fear rise, don't suppress it. Interrogate it. Ask, who benefits if I react? What are they really afraid of? How can I turn this moment into leverage? Then act, not from fear, but from strategy. Because the one who controls their fear controls the game. And the game never ends. But now, you're no longer playing. You're running it.